Alright there geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show, and you know what? With each passing year and with each cycle of new generation consoles, video games are becoming more and more impressive on so many levels. From graphics that look so real you can see whether the main character flossed, that's enough! To mechanics so incredibly complex your brain gets hot trying to wrap your head around it, and of course my favourite, when a game hits the market with footage and promises that you know deep down are absolute bullshit, leading you to muse aloud, these video games can't be real, can they? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. The games that wowed, the games that vowed they were telling the truth, and the games that might look to quickly bow out in short order when their supposed release date comes over the horizon. So let's have a chat, as I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are 8 games that cannot be real. Can they? And you know the drill, this is the Deep Cut with Jules Gill, baby, so expect to see a lot of games you're unfamiliar with and definitely need to know more about. So let's kick things off by talking about number 8, Sand. Okay my friends, I won't lie to you, this first game on this list had me giddy, genuine dictionary definition of giddy upon seeing its short teaser trailer, because upcoming game Sand looks the absolute business, and the business in question is sand. Now, casting aside the awful memory of Anakin Skywalker's hatred of sand,
I don't like sand.
In that scene, there's a good chance that you'll absolutely love cruising through the desert and the blisteringly hot temperatures around you, because you're doing so from the comfort of your own mecha walker, which is of course festooned with guns. These tramplers act as your home base, your transportation across the alien planet of Sophie, and as your diesel-powered spear to drive into the heart of other players as you blast them apart with cannon fire, or slam into their hull, or scurry under their feet as you sabotage and climb aboard enemy vessels. Beyond this, there are PvE elements in which you'll track down and uncover treasures to upgrade and maintain your trampler, the obvious allure of PvP raids as you take on other crews and their hard-earned gains, and of course, an unfolding narrative surrounding the mysterious planet which was once covered in water but is now about as dry as government NHS spending. Ooh, that's hot satire. Plus, I mean, just look at this. It's Sea of Thieves minus the sea, and I'm bloody loving each and every grainy moment of it. Number 7, Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate. Just when you thought that VR games were all just shooters and walking sims, along comes Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate, which slams down an idea so preposterous that you just have to marvel at the sheer ambition of it. What if, it says, with a smile wide enough to be almost unnerving, what if you solved puzzles in my game by travelling through time to completely different locations at a moment's notice and then piece it all together to create one coherent timeline? Well, says you, wiping the dribble from your mouth. Yeah, that sounds pretty bloody good, my friend. But wait a minute, speaking of distorted timelines, I swear that you've done this gimmick before. I swear that there's a VR game out there which did all of this before. And boom, just like that, you've fallen headfirst into a time paradox, my friend, as Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate is in fact a reimagined and revised version of Wanderer, which dropped back in 2022. Now, to be frank, this should really be thought of as a totally new game, as there are so many changes here that build upon an already impressive framework, such as revised gunplay, full body avatars with eye tracking features as well, and a new graphics engine bringing all of this to life. If you were to have shown me this like 5 years ago, I would have said there's no way a game like this can be real. And with the level of immersion on display, I'll be saying the same bloody thing as I have it strapped to my head and I hop between realities and timelines. It's just that bloody good looking. Number 6. Crimson Desert. Right, okay, so I find myself a bit lost for words when it comes to explaining what Crimson Desert is outside of its very generic catch-all term of a very ambitious RPG, because honestly, after poring over the gameplay footage and trailers released for it so far, it actually seems easier to list what you can't do. Now, I consider myself to be a gamer that's been around the bureau de change a fair few times and have admittedly become a little bit jaded towards certain genres such as open world games, because it feels like there's only a very select few that seek to push beyond the whole go here and sweep up 10 piles of dust, fetch me 5 blocks of cheese that for some reason are buried in underground tombs, etc, etc. But boy howdy, did Crimson Desert shut me the hell up when I saw this one particular image of the player character acting like the Pied Piper of Hamlet, complete with a conga line of rats. That's something that you can do. Everything, and I mean everything in this game looks like it's going above and beyond the norm. The combat looks tactile and challenging in some instances, responsive and lithe in others, and unrelentingly brutal all across the board. Plus, may I say, good sir, that is a fine dropkick you've just done, I commend thee. The locations are stunning, and the ability to soar into the sky on a personalized air balloon only to leap off the edge of a floating island back down to the ground is stunning. I mean, just look how your horse controls as well, with it performing quick turn slides and offering immediate dismounts that catapult you into the air. I mean, then there's the fun fact that you can just grab a goat or indeed an enemy and just lob it around in combat. Plus there's puzzles to solve, magic to master, interesting boss battles with unique mechanics like the Reed Devil and all of its shadows. And outside of combat, you've got parkour from like Assassin's Creed, GTA vehicle heists, and stealth mechanics to boot. It's all a bit much, frankly. It's like every game you love rolled into one, and because of this, my alarm bells are ringing. I mean, surely Crimson Desert can't deliver all of this, can it? Can it? Well, I'll tell you this for none, my friend. If it comes close to fulfilling like half of these promises, it'll still be a game for the ages. So I hope with every crusty fibre of my being that this is the real deal. Number 5, I Am Jesus Christ. This game looks absolute shit. What are you doing over there? What does this mean? What does that mean? Ah, well, in for a penny, in for a pounding. Let's talk about the absolute shambles that is I Am Jesus Christ, a game that lets you play as God's bouncing baby boy as you heal the sick, part the seas, and apparently shoot laser beams from your hands. Now, I didn't read the Bible all that much back at school, preferring to keep my fantasy in the realms of Hobbiton and Mordor, but I don't remember Jesus role-playing as Iron Man all that much. I tell you, if he did, I would have definitely attended more Sunday school sessions. Everything I see about this game causes me to reach for a large stick to just put it out of its misery. The opening trailer is one of the worst pieces of animation I've ever seen. It's like those fake mobile game ads that you're forced fed by YouTube every bloody day. And even in-game, the action has just this weird slant to it. It never shows off anything more than just a pretty location that looks pretty much ripped from about 100 other games and a pair of floating hands, like Jesus is imagining that he's live mixing at Coachella. Also, why are we not seeing many faces in this game? It's always like a load of shots of the backs of people's heads or from behind them. I mean, maybe it's because the NPCs and the devs are likely making a smirking face at anyone with faith that this game won't be a total cash grab. Mark my words, if this game comes out, then it will be the hottest, wettest, and indeed smelliest of garbage. The Holy Trinity. Number 4, Starship Troopers Extermination. Okay. I know this game has actually been out in the public or available to the public for some time, so it might not seem like the deepest of cuts, but it's been in early access, and only recently has Starship Troopers exited that holding cell and emerged into the wider world. And it's brought with it a trick that has blown my tiny pea brain, to the extent that when I saw footage of this new carnage mechanic, I just thought it was PR bluster. For you see, dear viewers, this extraction-based FPS title, which contains the already pretty impressive mechanic of base building on the fly in order to make desperate last stands, also boasts a new feature which keeps dead bodies on the field permanently. Now, if you're new to Starship Troopers, let me sum things up for you. There be bugs, and there be a lot of them, and they be wanting you dead, pal. So now imagine how insane it will be to see mounds of corpses piled high enough to use as cover, or in a much worse scenario, as a means to climb up and get into your base. This is exactly what the carnage mechanic introduces, making even the most well-defended base now open to assault with the bodies of the dead acting as insertion points. This is pure, unadulterated carnage in the best possible ways, and the level of programming required to make this happen is really impressive, to the extent that you might not believe it's real the first time you play it. Number 3, the other early access games. Steam Early Access. To some, it is a glorious bastion that offers them a chance to play their next favourite game early, where you can support a passionate dev team from even before day one and help provide feedback which will shape things for the better. To others, it is a near lawless wasteland of asset flips, stolen IP, abject laziness, and of course a huge helping of desperate greed. And I know for a fact that we've all come across a title, or 12 for that matter, that lands in the latter description of early accessors. Trust me, you don't need to look that bloody hard. Valve, for all of its brilliant games, sure does have a pretty lax policy on what is allowed under this banner, and hell, what even constitutes a game, because most of these are just buzzwords with search terms and the word epic just spammed to oblivion in the description, and then nothing else of note. Other times you'll see small dev teams of like 1 or 2 people say that they're committing to building the next Fortnite or PUBG or MMORPG that just has no way in hell of actually ever coming out. And such titles are littered with dev posts from years prior with no sign of activity. Now, with the majority of other titles on this list, it's a case of things being too good to be true. But here though, it's a case of, are you for real? Because this is straight up dog, my friend. And don't get me started on the new wave of AI-infused garbage that is coming down the pipe, which allow these ethically deprived devs even more ways to steal assets under the guise of their own creativity. No, seriously, don't get me started. I'll be here all day. Well, technically I'll be here all day because I live here, but you get the point. And I want to move on now. Number 2, Tamarindos' freaking dinner. Okay, so where do I begin trying to describe this game? It's a mascot-themed horror escape room title that's set in a time loop where you play as a pizza delivery guy. Oh, and you're also in space. Right, yeah, don't worry, my brain is also breaking as well, but that's exactly the vibe that Tamarindos' freaking dinner is going for. A title that absolutely takes no prisoners when it comes to trying to out-mad every other game on the market. Add to this a purposely choppy frame rate, a rancid 90s aesthetic, nonsensical dialogue, over 25 different endings that can come out of nowhere. Oh, and also it's an exercise of a different version of live service because the mansion will change on the fly with new rooms and challenges added and rotated out. What? It's just chaos. Beautiful, mad, eccentric chaos, which will leave you utterly stupefied as to what you've just witnessed or been forced to do yourself as you desperately try to escape this horrific mansion. So if you're in the mood to laugh, be totally unnerved, and frankly a little disgusted, Tamarindos' freaking dinner is definitely for you. But at all times, your brain will be saying, what? And number 1, Kingmakers. And so we close on a game that I'm pretty sure that some of you have already heard of, but my god, do I need to put absolutely everyone with a pulse and even those fresh in the ground onto, because Kingmakers is basically a game that asks a very simple question. What if Dynasty Warriors had tanks? Welcome to the chaos, my friends, because this is Kingmakers, a game so utterly unhinged upon first viewing, I thought that it was like a parody trailer that was some kind of April Fool's joke. But no, it is a real game, supposedly at least, that is being worked on right now and is aiming for a 2024 release. Yet there are so many more surprising details in this game to explore beyond just smashing a truck into a group of medieval knights. And trust me, that is definitely up there in the wait, what-o-meter? You see, alongside this time-traveling troublemaking, you've also got a strategy game that allows you to zoom out of the battle and command your units. Then you've got the level degradation, which, as shown off the recent gameplay video, looks utterly bananas. Taking down a castle tower in a tank from a mile away will feel incredible and just looks the business as well. This is a game that just isn't aiming for accolades when it comes to story or character development, but what it is here for is a bloody good time, and it is bringing a huge bag of Peruvian party powder along with it. Now, I have genuinely no idea if this game will be any good, but at this point my brain is just trying to make sense of how a game like this exists, and strangely why it's taken this long for something like Kingmakers to bloody come out. It just makes total sense, but none of it. And there we have it, my friends, 8 video games that cannot be real. Can they? Hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. Are you going to be picking up any of these titles? Obviously link some more if you've got other crazy titles that I need to know more about as well, because I love to find things like this. This was a pleasure to do some research on. And if you want to chat to me on the meantime, then you can do so by going over to my social medias over here. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Hope you're treating yourself well, my friend, because even though we spoke today about things not being real, you know what is the truth, the one sole reality? That is that you, my friend, need to be kind to yourself, because you've got there with love in your heart for yourself to go out and live a healthier and happier life. And at the end of the day, that's all I want for you, all right? So remember, you are a massive ledge, you deserve the best, and no one has any right to say anything different. Get out there, my friends, and smash it today. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.